Greetings everyone, I'm Kevin, and here is the part 2 of an Asexual Reads Asexual Books. The first book that I will be reading in this vlog is The Love Hypothesis. The reason I'm going to start with this is because I heard from a few booktubers who read this that they think that the girl is demisexual. So I am going to read this and see if I agree and like what part of this can be connected to the asexual spectrum and all of that. So that is gonna be interesting. So this is the first book that I will be reading now, and I will check in with all of you when I've gotten a little bit further into it. Hi, so an update. I finished this book a few days ago, but because of work I haven't been able to update. But I finished it and there was a mention of asexuality in it. So I think I'm just gonna discuss that a little bit. So this book starts off with Olive just kissing a random guy because her best friend Ann wants to date Olive's ex. And Olive is all for that. She's like, you can go ahead and date him, I don't care. But Ann is, she doesn't want to bother Olive by dating her ex. So Olive pretends that she's completely in love with someone else and she's dating someone else. And she even told Ann that she was on a date, but she was actually at the school in the lab. And Ann shows up and Olive panics and kisses the first person that she sees because she did say that she was on a date. And this guy turns out to be Adam Carlson, who is kind of like a professor at the school, but not for the part that Olive is in. And the thing is, Adam is pretty much hated by everyone. Every grad student does not like him because he is seen as antagonistic and sadistic. Or not sadistic, masochistic. Like he is happy to inflict pain, mental pain on his subordinates. And that's the guy that she apparently kissed. So she kind of freaks out. Olive and Adam, they agree to fake date. And they set up like these ground rules. And Olive says something that, just so you know, we won't have sex, something like that. And he just goes like, very, very like, what? That's the moment that she kind of comments on asexuality. So I'm just going to read that little part. So the whole thing is that because of his reaction, she thinks that, oh, he assumed that we would have sex, that this would be some fake dating with benefits situation. So just after this whole thing with his surprise reaction after her telling him that they won't have sex, she thinks, should she explain that she'd had very little sex in her life, that for years she'd wondered whether she was asexual, and she had realized only recently that she might be able to experience sexual attraction, but only with people she trusted deeply, that if for some inexplicable reason Adam wanted to have sex with her, she wasn't going to be able to go through with it. So she's like, should I explain to him why we won't have sex if he assumed that we would? So that is the one part of this that kind of deals with asexuality. And I do understand why a lot of people, I shouldn't say a lot of people. I saw one vlog with someone reading this book because like I was very excited to read this. So I watched Riley Marie's video where she read this and she said that she thought that the character was demisexual, and that's why I decided to put it on this vlog, on this kind of vlog series. And I do understand that, and I agree. I feel like with that explanation, with her feeling like I think I'm asexual and I just might be able to feel sexual attraction to someone, in all of that, I do think that she is demisexual, even though she doesn't use that term herself or that identity herself, because it's, as I said, with demisexuality, it like this bond that you have to someone is different for everyone. So demisexuality is you might experience sexual attraction after getting to know someone deeper or having a bond to that person. And for some demisexuals, that bond is trust. It can be friendship. It can be just, you know, that you feel 100% comfortable around them. Or for others, it can be that you have to have a romantic bond before you can feel sexual feelings towards this person. So it's different for every demisexual, but it feels like to her that she needs to feel complete trust in a person before she can experience sexual attraction to them. But it's important to say that she might, because that's also something that a lot of people think wrongly about when it comes to demisexuality. That people think, oh, the sexual attraction is just more slow burn. It will happen. It just takes time. And the thing is, it might not happen. There is no rule to it. There is no, you know, set thing. This is going to happen. It might happen. Like for demisexuals, a lot of demisexuals can date someone and never experience sexual attraction to that person, but sexual attraction can develop for someone else that they have dated. Or, you know, like, just because you're demisexual doesn't mean that you will feel sexual attraction to everyone you date or love romantically. It might not happen, it might. But that is something that I feel with in books where authors use demisexual characters for the plot and for the romance to be slow burn. Like, I talked about this in my first vlog, that there was a specific book that I read for that vlog that only used demisexual love interest to make it slow burn, and I didn't like it. Yeah, but that is the first book done for this little vlog. So now I'm going to read another book that I have started, but that I just haven't talked about, and it's Let's Talk About Love. So I did start this book in January, but everything was so hectic, so I couldn't like start this vlog yet, but I'm halfway through it and I'm going to continue it, and then when I finish the book I will let you know my thoughts and feelings on the book and what I think about the asexual representation in this. And I've already tabbed a bit and I have, you know, highlighted parts of it as well, but this I do really enjoy it so far. I do like how respectful it is to asexuals, and I do also know from what I've heard, Claire Kann is asexual or on the asexual spectrum. So this is interesting. So I'm gonna continue reading this and then I will update you when I finished it with my thoughts on the representation and all of that. And I forgot to say that with this book, because I did rate the representation in the last vlog, I am going to do the same thing that I did with Latsue, which is it's only mentioned once. It was good, but it was only once. But I'm gonna give this 4 stars in terms of representation, because I do like how her sexuality was explained and why she thought she was asexual and how she feels about that now, like with the whole thing that she might develop sexual attraction, like that she might be demisexual. And I do really like that little part. So this is 4 stars out of 5 in terms of representation. And Latsue only got 3 stars, I think, but it was just because there was one line that said she's asexual and there was no explanation, nothing, you know, like that, which isn't necessary. But in this vlog I am looking to asexual representation, so that's why I rate them on, and I don't say what I rated the book as a whole. But I will continue reading this now and give you an update in a little bit.
I can see it in your eyes. You've seen the moon and its darker side. I can feel the gravity, the forces pull between you and me. Yes, it's true, I'm falling hard for you, but I won't rush this love. I can wait even if it's hard to take. One moment is enough. I will be standing here right by your side. I will be standing here till the end of time. I will be standing here all through the night, night, night.
Hi, I finished this book. Yeah, what do you think? I have so many things to talk about, honestly. Like, you can just see how much of this I have tabbed. I actually ran out of purple tabs. I wanted it to be purple because the asexual pride flag is black, white, gray, and purple. So purple is the only actual color on the flag. The other ones are lack of color or all colors in one. So like white is no color, black is all the colors. So if you don't have a black paint, you can very easily get black paint by mixing all of your colors together. You will get black because black is every color mixed together. That's black. And like that's why it gets darker when you paint over. But that's a whole, like, that's color theory. We're doing asexuality over here. But I read this. There are a few things that I want to talk about. So there will be a few spoilers, I guess, for specific moments in the book, which of course there are, because this is like me reading for a very specific purpose. So a lot of like what I discuss in the books are spoilers for parts of the book. Just starting from the beginning, we have our main character Alice, this girl here on the cover. She has a relationship with a girl called Margot in the beginning of the book, and very early on Margot breaks up with Alice because sex is important to Margot, but it's not important to Alice. Alice knows that she's asexual, but she doesn't really feel comfortable sharing that fact. So that's kind of where we start off with the book. Alice is struggling with herself and with the world, because the world has one view of what a relationship should look at that does not fit Alice and what her view of a relationship looks like. And there are a few parts of the book that I just want to read. And a quote that we have very early on is, "What made sex so integral that people couldn't separate the emotional love they felt from one physical act?" And that's kind of something that she feels after her girlfriend breaks up with her, which, as someone on the asexual spectrum, I completely agree. Like, it sometimes confuses me, especially when I read like books and see movies and TV shows, and it's like very weird that someone could actually break up with someone because of sex. Like, oh my god, the sex was so boring or stuff like that, and someone can break up with someone because of that. And I'm like it doesn't make sense to me. If you're in a relationship with someone who loves you for who you are and you love them for who they are, isn't that more important than that? Like, that confuses me sometimes. But another part that happened very early in the book, within the first few chapters, was something that really shows what I said in my earlier vlog, where I read, among other books, Every Heart a Doorway. And I complained about the representation of the asexual character in Every Heart a Doorway because she, I don't remember her name, but the whole thing in Every Heart a Doorway is these kids, when they're kids, they find a door, they walk through it, and they're in their ideal world. So it's like a world, the world they end up in is perfect for them. And then for different reasons, they end up back in the normal world, so to speak. And a lot of them end up in this kind of home for wayward children, as it is called. And they get help kind of navigating what happened to them as kids, different worlds, experiences that they had, and all of that. And the girl that we follow in Every Heart a Doorway, her ideal world was the Hall of the Dead. I think it was called the Hall of the Dead. Throughout the book, when she was at this school in our world, she was referred to as a statue, a corpse, stuff like that. And I complained, or I criticized the representation, because she was the only asexual character in the book, and she was made fun of for being a way that is actually something that a lot of asexuals hear, that there is no way that you can be human if you don't want sex. You can't be human and not want sex, because sex is a human feeling or a human experience. So if you don't want that, you're not human. Sorry, kind of like that. I don't know if Shauna Maguire was aware of that when she he created this character, but it kind of fed on this stereotype and this harmful view of asexuals, actually, in my opinion. That's why I gave it a rather low rating. Did not like that book at all. This book... this book actually brought that up. Not that book in particular, but it says... And this is also in like reaction to her girlfriend just breaking up with her. And it says, because Alice was a corpse, because she was unnatural and incapable of loving someone. And this has to do with being incapable of experiencing sexual attraction. And so because Alice couldn't experience sexual or can't experience sexual attraction, she is a corpse and unnatural and incapable of loving someone. And I felt like that was so well put, because that is also something that a lot of asexuals hear, and it is a big reason why a lot of asexuals are afraid of dating. And it sucks, to be honest. That is the reason that I brought the whole thing up with the corpse for every heart doorway. Like, it's a bad stereotype and view, I think. Like, those things are harmful to the ace community and should not be said or thought. But another thing that you need to know about the relationship between Alice and Margot is that the conversation that they have about sex, Alice actually says, like, we have sex, we've had sex, and Margot just says, like, yeah, but we haven't had the kind of sex that I want. And she complains that Alice never initiated sex, that if they would have sex, it was Margot who would initiate it and never Alice, and Margot didn't like that. So Alice also struggles with the fact that she, even though she isn't interested in sex, she did have sex with Margot because she knew that Margot liked sex, but the sex that they had was basically a waste of time, apparently. And there is another thing in the book that I thought was really spot on, and it's the way that Alice describes sex. She says that sex is like jogging. Some people love going out for a jog, some people hate it, some people can do it but not all the time, and sex is the same way. Some people love sex, some people don't like sex at all, and some people enjoy it if it's not all the time. And I thought that was a very good like metaphor for it, but it's a good way for people who aren't ace to kind of understand. I know that a lot of asexuals use cake, like I would rather eat cake, stuff like that. I don't like cake. I don't really like sweet things to eat, but a lot of asexuals do that. But you can kind of compare it to, I know some have compared it to pizza and other foods. Some people love pizza, but that doesn't mean that they want to eat pizza all the time. That doesn't mean that they want to eat pizza once a week or once a month. Maybe they are happy eating pizza once a year. And then there are people who don't like pizza and would rather not eat pizza at all. And it's kind of like that. And then we have demisexuals, where it depends on the pizza. Sometimes if the pizza is right, you might feel like you want to eat it. And other times the pizza can look extremely delicious and be perfect in all the ways, but you don't want to eat it. I hope that makes sense. But then the whole thing with this book, or the main plot, is that at work, Alice, during the summer, it's set during the summer, she works at a library, and there's this guy who starts working there called Takumi, and Alice immediately has like a crush on him. He is really, really cute and just absolutely adorable, and they become quick friends, and they have such great chemistry, and their interactions are absolutely amazing. In my opinion, I find it so fun to read about their interactions and just how they talk to each other, how they joke with each other and all of that. And you kind of see their relationship grow, and Alice comes out to him as asexual and he reacts to it. That is another thing that I want to talk about because I find it very important. And this is the second romance book that I've read for this vlog series. The first one was Scorpio Hates Virgo, and it was a plot device. Asexuality was used as a plot device. I am not happy about that. But for this one, I want to talk about what happened between them with that whole thing. So Alice tells him that she uses this metaphor, the jogging metaphor again. And he's like, okay, I understand that, I think. And they, after she comes out as asexual, they continue to be friends. And then sometime later, they hang out and she asks him out on a date. And he is first very, very happy and very like teasing her and being like, are you asking me out? And being kind of like flirty. But then he kind of stops for a second and he thinks for himself and he says that he has to think for a while. He tells her, it's just, you've made your stance, I guess, pretty clear on things. I remember what you said. I don't know if it's something I could give up. And then he also says that he wants to be with her and that he doesn't completely understand the whole thing with asexuality. And they kind of get into this argument. She tries to explain to him that her being asexual isn't going to go away. And he tries to kind of figure things out. So he says, you like me, but you're not sexually attracted to me. But that doesn't necessarily have to mean you don't want to have sex with me, right? You could, but you don't want to because you don't care. Is that right? And he is very confused, and she goes to worst case scenario immediately and eventually leaves. They don't say that much more than this. He doesn't understand the whole situation. He doesn't know that much about asexuality, what it means to be asexual, what it means to date someone who is asexual. And Alice is so used to being rejected for being asexual, so she immediately goes to that place that, okay, this is something that he can't accept. So she leaves and she ignores him when he texts her, and when he calls her, she does not pick up the phone. And that's kind of like the thing that I wanted to discuss a little bit, because that is an issue, I think. There are a lot of asexuals that I have talked to who kind of feel like that, you know, that if you tell someone that you're asexual, when should you bring that up to someone? Like, should you bring it up on the first date? Should you bring it up before the first date? Should you bring it up on the 10th date when this person has feelings for you and you feel like this person isn't going to throw you away because such a small thing as not being sexually attracted to anyone or being interested in sex? And it's a difficult thing because as it is now, not a lot of people know about asexuality. Not a lot of people know what it is. And a lot of asexuals have been rejected for being asexual. So it's understandable that you have this kind of situation that one person wants a relationship without sex and the other person hasn't been in a situation where a relationship hasn't included sex. So they're like, okay, what will we do? What can we do? In the end of Let's Talk About Love, Takumi realizes that sex itself isn't important. It's what sex represents that is important. That connection between two people, that's what is important. So as long as they have that connection, they're fine. And he can not be okay with not having sex with her. He still wants to have sex with her. He told her, but if they won't do it, then it's not as important as this connection that they have. But it is something that I know is difficult. And there is unfortunately no right or wrong. It all depends on the person. But what everyone needs to kind of understand is coming out as anything is a very big deal. So if someone comes to you and says, hey, I'm asexual, then just nod, say thank you for telling me. And also like ask them if they want to explain what that means to them or if they prefer you search online, because some people prefer to explain themselves and some people say like, I don't want to explain it, can you please just Google it? Or maybe they will send you a link and say like, hey, read on this website instead, it's easier. So like different people have different ways of doing that and what feels comfortable. And it's the same thing with other orientations as well, not just asexuality. But asexuality is unfortunately a sexuality that not a lot of people talk about. It's a very hush-hush kind of sexuality because we live in a very sexualized world, because like sex sells. So when you're not part of that demographic, you don't really fit into society. And also there are places and communities where sex as a whole is very, you shouldn't talk about it. So being asexual in those is also awkward. Yeah, I hope all of that made sense. So that was it for the second book of the vlog. So I'm gonna call that a wrap after these two books. So I read The Love Hypothesis and gave The Representation 4 stars. And I read Let's Talk About Love and I gave The Representation 5 stars. I thought the representation was very well done. I thought the discussion surrounding asexuality was superb. I had a better experience with the asexual representation in these books than I had in my first vlog. But thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this. If you have any questions or anything that you want me to clear out, or maybe you have a few books that you want me to read in an upcoming Asexual Reads Asexual Books vlog, please comment that down below and I will see what I can do. Thank you so much for watching. Please like and subscribe if you haven't, and I will see you next time. Good reading. Bye.